Welcome everyone. As you can see, we're all gathered here for an important cause. We're here to ensure fairness for females in sports. I'd first like to introduce Catrina Allen to share a statement.
Hi everyone joining us live. Those of us gathered here who compete in the Female Pro Open Division of the Disc Golf Pro Tour first want to say that we appreciate and are thankful for the efforts of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the PDGA to uphold their non-discriminatory eligibility rule that simply seeks to protect fair competition in the FPO division of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and in the highest level elite PDGA events. It is a fact of biology and sports physiology that being born with male biology, going through male puberty, and experiencing male levels of testosterone conveys enormous performance advantages. Elite sport, for those of us born biological females, cannot exist without eligibility standards that consider these basic biological facts. We want to thank the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the PDGA for adopting an eligibility rule that merely recognizes basic biology and physiology. We are deeply disappointed by yesterday's court ruling by Minnesota State Court Judge Kari Willis that completely ignored and did not even discuss the sports exception of the Minnesota Human Rights Act and case law precedent from the Minnesota Supreme Court that allows businesses to make decisions considering basic biological facts such as being born male or female. The interpretation of the Minnesota Human Rights Act being advocated by Ryan's legal counsel, if adopted in Minnesota, will destroy the use of such basic biological facts to protect fair competition for those born without the advantages of male biology and exposure to years to male levels of testosterone. This is why the case is important not just for disc golfers, but for every young girl who aspires to be able to compete at an elite level in her sport. The position being advanced by Natalie Ryan and by Natalie Ryan's attorneys will destroy the dreams of thousands of young girls in this country to ultimately be successful in reaching the highest level of elite women's sport. It will require girls to compete at almost every level in sport with those who have experienced the performance-enhancing advantages of male puberty and male levels of testosterone. Judge Willis will have a future opportunity to fully consider the merits of the policy of the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the PDGA, and we hope that at the time the court will recognize the neutral, non-discriminatory nature of the tour's eligibility rule and its resilience on basic biology and physiological facts to protect fair competition. We seek only to ensure that our rights to fair competition are upheld. To do so, the objective, neutral, and scientific rules adopted by the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the PDGA protect fair competition and should be upheld. Regard the effort to change the rule of women's sports to overlook the advantages conferred by male levels of testosterone and male puberty to be selfish, sad, and anti-science. To Natalie Ryan, we respect your desire to live as you choose. We affirm your personhood, but we also recognize you have inherent performance advantages conferred through experiencing male puberty that give you an enormous and unfair advantage when competing in the female protected division. Your refusal to recognize basic biological facts is not commendable. It is rather discriminatory towards those of us who do not have your biological advantages. Your reliance on biological advantages that us of born with female biology can never replicate and will destroy a level playing field in the 2023 Preserve Championship. The advantages you hold through physiology over every woman in the field, and even greater than those that would be conferred through doping. This clearly demonstrates that anything you may achieve in the upcoming tournament will not have been won fairly. Some have asked whether there will be a boycott of the 2023 championship, and we just want to say that, we are just really standing here for fair competition, and we just ask the disc golf community to hear our voices, hear our statements, and please listen with, open hearts, open minds, and just know that the group standing here, we love disc golf. And we just want fair competition, and that's really all this is about. I'm going to turn it over to Sarah and let her speak, and then we're going to open it up to the rest of the female athletes.
when Title IX was passed. Before Title IX, sports were mostly single categories, and due to sex-based performance gaps, most women couldn't make the teams that they were expected to compete when they were expected to compete directly with men. Offering a protected sex-based category for females provided a space for women to compete on a fair playing field with other women, none of whom had the male advantage. This allowed sports to be inclusive. At a time in history when sports were not inclusive, very few women played sports before Title IX. We found that different categories is exactly what created inclusiveness in sports for women. Categories are used in all sports, weight classes for fighting sports, age classes, and even disability classes for the Paralympics. These categories allow for similar bodies to compete in a way that doesn't dilute the most important skills within a respective sport. For instance, with boxing, without weight classes, the big guy with the long reach and the heavy hands wins every single time. The only reason we even know the name Floyd Mayweather is because boxing has specific categories. Champions win based upon skill and not just size. But here's the thing, with all the other categories, weight, age, ability, they're also all primarily delineated by sex first. This is because sex is the single most and biggest predictor of athletic advantage. You take matched athletes of similar size, weight, and skill level, and the male outperforms the female every single time. This is why Title IX was such a big deal. It ensured female athletes would have a place in sports and resulted in a well-documented explosion of female athletics at all levels, going from under 10% to an equal 50% in college athletics. But before that, it looked a lot like disc golf does. Very few females were already struggling in disc golf to attract women to play, and this is one more thorn in the side of the quality of players that we've been able to attract to this sport. In the fall of 2021, the International Olympic Committee changed their approach to the eligibility policy in the female category and left many governing bodies, like the PDGA, in a very precarious position of now having to try to understand whether trans women have an unfair advantage in their particular sport or not. Unfortunately, the social dynamic surrounding this issue has effectively silenced and canceled opposing voices. No matter how much evidence one has to prove an advantage, and no matter how kind they are in presenting the evidence, irrespective of the players involved in the IOC, it is the IOC that bears the ultimate responsibility for the current state of dystopia and division in all women's sports. Disc golf has worked very hard to carve out a place for women to compete and be respected as elite athletes. And the top female athletes in disc golf today are able to grind out a successful career. But it was not always that way. Very recently, it was not always that way. The first World Championships did not have a category for females, even though it happened nearly a decade after Title IX was passed. The first women's only events did not happen until the late 90s, with the first women's championships happening only near the turn of the century. It took another decade to really push the idea of women's only leagues and tournaments. The formation of the women's global event in 2012 really propelled an increase in participation among females, and an increasing number of women's events ensued. I've spent my disc golf career moonlighting on committees and working on projects to improve the quality of disc golf for women at all levels. Specifically, there were so few women when I first started to compete, and none at the professional level, and zero in my area. Now together, on the backs of our predecessors, we've built women's disc golf into a career path that the future champions can strive for and to be passionate about. The Pro Tour has been instrumental in this recent explosion in FPO by offering more equitable payouts, appropriate course design, and equal media coverage. We are forever grateful for their role in this growth and are still dependent on their support to push forward. However, the recent action by Judge Willis to overturn the eligibility policy set forth by our governing body has undermined fairness for female athletes in disc golf. We have seen amazing growth, but this growth is potentially in serious jeopardy due to the legal attacks on our current policy. All female sports are facing this same battle. But guess what? The science is in. Over the last few years, 13 studies have been published that have proved that trans women maintain an unfair performance advantage in sports, even after hormone replacement therapy, and that no amount of hormone replacement therapy can undo the legacy effects that testosterone has on the body and the advantage in sport that comes with them. Males have an advantage across all ranges of sports. Throwing sports, like disc golf, which use power, strength, upper body mass, and grip strength, have even more pronounced differences. Hormone replacement therapy does not produce skeletal advantages related to hand size, relative arm bone lengths, wingspan, hip width, tendon strength, and so many others. While some muscle mass is affected by hormone replacement therapy, it is not reduced to the level that is typical of a female. Trans women still retain muscle mass that is greater than females. There are thousands of differences between men and women that remain unchanged when testosterone levels are reduced to that of an average female. Trans women may fall below performance standards for an average man, but they are certainly above the performance standards for the average woman. I spoke out very early in this controversy with what I thought was fair and empathetic opinion supported by evidence, but I was quickly bullied into silence. Even with my own mental health would suffer, I'd find a way through it. I'd ignore what my scientific background said. I'd ignore everything that I was seeing that seemed unfair, ignoring my gut, just trying to block out all these emotions related to fairness. As I'm trying to play my best out there. I am one of a large percentage of FPOs who've had to deal with this in their mental game, and we can no longer be silent. Females have had to fight for our place in sports since the very beginning of sports. We accept that biological differences between the sexes are very real and well documented. It is only because we accept those differences that females can truly be recognized as equally exceptional athletes and respected as such. By denying these truths and choosing inclusion over fairness, female sports will become meaningless, and as a result, females will step away from the sports arenas and never develop the amazing attributes that sports participation provides. Something that we've already seen happen in disc golf. We've seen some recent TDs have decided to not offer a women's division because of this controversy. If we truly want to be inclusive, increasing the number of categories has been a proven strategy. Limiting eligibility for these categories is the only way to ensure the integrity of these categories. The F category must remain for females only. We all know that the M in the PDGA division stands for mixed, offering opportunities for anyone of any sex, age, or gender identity to enter. True inclusivity does not include allowing trans women to compete against females because their bodies are not properly matched. Trans women competing in the female division is counter to the reasons the division was created in the first place. I'm disappointed that once again, women must spend our time and energy to stand up for fair and meaningful competition. But here we are, and we will not stop until this is resolved. We have fought too hard and too long to allow the female category to extend to individuals who have the advantage of testosterone and male puberty, something not available to females. Many of you who support the current policy who don't support the current policy do so from an emotional perspective, citing the difficulties that trans folks have in their lives. But the female protected division should not be forced to pay reparations for a world that treats people poorly. We will not stand silent and watch the obvious advantages in front of us for the sake of social niceties. The female division will not be hijacked as penance for a world that is not kind. We stand here before you as a collective voice for all disc golfers who believe in fairness and integrity for our sport to say, we respect all people in this world and support the rights of all people to live their lives as they choose. But we are athletes. We are deserving of respect as well as a place in this world where we can engage in meaningful and fair competition with bodies that do not have the advantages of testosterone and male puberty. We hold no ill will towards trans folks or the LGBTQ+ community, but maintain that women's sports must be for biological females only. Thank you.
My name is Jennifer Allen, PDJ number 15354. been playing disc golf since 1999. Back when I had to travel state to state to try to find just another woman to play against. And even though I've always had a great advantage with my distance, I never chose to play with the men because I didn't feel it was fair. The women before us stood up to fight for us to have a division. And I feel it's my duty, as well as the women behind me, to stand up for our future, for the little girls or the moms or the college athletes who are just finding our game. So please, we just ask that you help support us, and let's not spread any hate, and let's just try to do what's right. Thank you. I was at OTB this year. I had a 14-year-old girl come up to me, and she said, "Kat, I'm going to be out there playing, and I don't think I can do it, because I don't think I have a place, and I don't think I'll be able to win anymore. I don't think I'll be able to follow my dream." I think about her a lot. And I think about how when I started disc golf, I was 14. And it was everything I had. I would have killed myself if I wouldn't have found this sport. And I gave my all to this sport. I refused to go to college so I could pursue my dream and being the best woman in the world. And my livelihood, our livelihood, and our career is at stake. Every woman athlete's career is at stake. And we just ask you, please, have some sympathy.
My name is Sami Keddington, PDGA 52010. I've been a member of the PDGA since 2012, and I have built my entire career around disc golf. Mentally, it has been the best thing that I've ever done for myself. It's changed my life and so many other women's lives in this career. The fact that this is happening is devastating for these women behind me and so many more women to come. And I think the words have already been spoken here, and we are just asking that you consider what is happening here and that you don't throw our thoughts and our support away because of fairness. So in the name of disc golf and everything that we love, please consider this. And I just want to say I am so proud of every single woman here and all of the people that are supportive, because this is not easy to do for these people to stand up here, because again, it's already been said, we are not hateful, we do not hate, we love, and we are standing up for ourselves, and that is absolutely okay too. Thank you all for being here and listening.
My name is Rebecca Cox, PDGA number 32917. I've been playing for about 20 years now. I started touring in 2017, where the FPO division was pretty small. About 12 was considered a decent size. I grew up playing with grown men because there weren't a lot of other little girls or even women in my area who played. And being someone who is a person of color, I also didn't really have someone who even looked like me really across the board. So part of touring that was important to me was to be the role model that I didn't really have in the sport, to be the black woman on tour that other black women and little girls could look up to, so they could see themselves doing the same thing and following their dreams as well. So I just want to say that we're thinking about you and we're fighting for you. So please just know that we are fighting for all those little girls out there and all the women, mothers, sisters, all of you. And we just ask that you hear us and be kind and respectful.
My name is Jessica Weese. My PDGA number is 50656. I have been competing since I was about 9 years old. I started playing disc golf when I was 6 years old. So right now the Junior World Championships is going on. And I just want to give it up to all of the girls out there competing, because
they all know what we're going through right now. And they're not giving up their dream. And we're not going to give up our dream either.
Hi, my name is Kona Montgomery. I think we've all said it, but I think of all the junior girls, like Jessica said. I have my own apprentice at Junior World. She's a young girl and she's aspiring to be an FPO player one day. And I also think of the women who give me strength and support and having their backs. I want to thank women like Catrina Allen and Hokom. Without them, I don't think I would be here, but they empowered me to speak up, and I thank all the women behind me as well. So, big thanks to you guys for being the first ones to stand up for the female protected division. More than anything, I think of fighting for fairness and a future in women's professional disc golf. It's sad to think that we worked so hard to get here and that we're having to fight again, but I think just this goes to show that we're here, we're not going anywhere, and we're going to fight for our right.
I just want to say one more thing. I also want to reach out to, as this has pretty much been a behind the scenes fight. Sarah and I started probably 2 years ago. We've done our best to really keep this behind the scenes and respectful, to not cause division and hate, and unfortunately we're here battling, but we're still trying our best to keep this as peaceful and just share our experiences and our feelings. But one thing I really want to say is a big thank you to the Disc Golf Pro Tour and the PDGA for also helping to keep things as civil as possible. And we also want to thank the Disc Golf Pro Tour and PDGA for going to court and upholding our policy. I don't think that can be said enough. Also to the disc golf community who's been speaking out for us when we couldn't, I want to thank all of you. I do want to take a second and thank Icons. They have really helped us to fight this battle and help get policy change and make beautiful signs and support and inspire us. So if you could, check them out. And then, I'll let Sarah close. But thank you everyone for joining. And look at this group, it really just, thank you.
Well, you pretty much said everything that I wanted to say, but mostly I just wanted to encourage everyone to continue to lead with love. This is not about, we're not against anyone. This is, we're fighting for fairness for all women. We're trying to uplift the women. So again, people out there supporting us, again, try to be loving in your responses to everyone. That's the only way we'll get through this as a community. And we love you guys.
Yeah, if I could say, instead of writing a hateful comment towards the other side, please uplift us over the weekend. That would be more useful and helpful.